All right, everyone. Part two for Q&A, lecture number 2, week 2. I didn't see any new question from the Google Doc since yesterday. I checked it maybe earlier today. I didn't see any new questions. So what I would do is I got one question left behind from yesterday, which I promised I would check. Something about logical operations in Python. I'll talk about it very quickly. I did a little bit of research myself, and then very quick, and then we'll see everyone's here in the room, in the meeting room of Zoom. You can ask me questions. Otherwise, we are done. All right. Very quickly here. So what I would do is let me switch to this part over here. Basically, yesterday we talked about in Java, right? Let me just recap what the issue was. In Java, if you declare, let's say, Boolean, some Boolean variable b will be whatever Boolean expression it might be. Okay, let's just leave that flexible over here. Okay, and then if you let's say in the context of maybe some if statement, you got to specify some branching condition over here, right? And then over here, you might say, for example, b is currently true, or you might say b is currently false. So these are the only two possibilities because b is Boolean type. And yesterday, what I said was, you can simplify this expression here. Rather than saying b is equal to true, you can simply just say b. It will be the same. And also b is equal to false. We can simply say b is not the case, exclamation mark, right? That's what we said. And there will be more discussion coming about this particular simplification in week number 4 lecture. So the reason I mentioned yesterday was just to give you a little bit quick overview before we spoke about it. All right. And then one of your fellow students asked me about if this might be also the case for Python. I would say for any programming language that actually supports about Boolean type, they will definitely also support logical operators. In that case, they will definitely support this idea as well. So you asked me, what about Python? So for those of you who actually study 1015, where you might be interested in Python, let me just show you quickly, right? So this is simply just some table I simply found online, right? It's a very open source over here, just about the syntax for Python, okay? So let me just tell you very quickly. So for example, in Python, you got equal, like in Java for comparison, right? You can say x equals y. And also, we got logical operators in Python. And they chose a different syntax. Rather than ampersand, they would say and, just spell it out. And also or, and also not. So you can think about in terms of correspondence. So this is like a Python is and in Java is ampersand. And also for or, it's a vertical bar. And also for the not, it's actually exclamation mark. Okay, so this will be Java. And this part will be Python. Okay, very quick comparison. And excuse me. And what about the idea I said about here? It will be the same. So now in Python over here, let me write it here. Let's say you also got a Boolean variable b, let's say. So you might say b equals true. You can definitely say that. You can also say b equals false. So this can be simplified into just b in Python, the same as Java. And now in the case of the false, you would say not b. So this will also work. Or you can also say not the case that b equals true. That's also fine, right? So you got a different possibility of writing expression. It can be this one here, or it can be this one over here. All right, it's just something to for your knowledge. Any question about this operation over here, about simplification? Any question? Anyone? If you got any follow-up question, please speak up. All right, so I presume everybody's okay. All right, so I have no more questions from the Google Doc and no more questions from what I can see that should be worth mentioning. So do you guys have any questions? I'm going to open the floor and pause over here if you got any questions.
Hi, hello, Jackie. I have one small
question. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Can you speak up a little bit? It sounds a little bit low to me. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a small question regarding the operation on the Eclipse. So as mentioned, so basically, I see you are having a lot of this auto completion
Mm-hmm.
for some frequently used patterns like sys out,
Mm-hmm.
represented as uh, uh, system output and
Yeah.
system out like a print line. And
Mm-hmm.
how did you define those shortcuts, or is there any other ways to do that?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so I think okay, you're basically talking about the use of Eclipse. For example, the sys out. This is so of course, once you type it, you can just autocomplete to be system out the print line, as you said. I didn't really set it up myself, so this was something that's already supported by default in Eclipse.
Oh, okay.
However, I never try, but if you're interested, feel free to do that to customize your Eclipse. You can try to Google some topics over here. Okay, you can Google for maybe Eclipse. Maybe you can say maybe key shortcut, something like that. So they will show you all everything that's already a shortcut available to you that you can use. That'll be number one. And also you can also try. You can say Eclipse customize key shortcut. I think this might be more relevant to what you just asked me at the end. So how can you create such shortcut for yourself? Maybe, for example, you're not so happy with being sys out. Maybe you just want to say sys, for example. That'll be the shortcut for system out the print line. There might be a way to do it. I know for some other IDE, they do allow you to really customize the shortcut, but I'm not too sure how you will do it exactly in Eclipse. That's something you can explore.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And just one more small question.
Yeah.
What's the shortcut you were using when you are trying to include this next input, because you have a shortcut, and then suddenly
Okay.
there's another module that be included inside the.
Mhm. Let me see this. So, for example, I'm not exactly sure, but let's see. Let's be sure I know exactly what you meant. Are you saying okay, for example, let's say, let me just create a new one over here, a new class. Let's call this my app, and then with a main method, for example. Are you talking about to call the next int method on the scanner? Is that what you meant?
Yes, and
Okay.
then there is a shortcut that you instantly increase. Yeah, this generate
Okay, I
image.
see what you mean. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Okay, sure. Okay, I think I can start from the beginning. Okay, so let me just do it here. Let's say you have already generated your Java class over here, my app. And let's say you want to declare the type of your variable. So scanner is actually set to be a reference type. We'll talk about exactly what reference type is when we talk about objects after the reading week. But for now, you can think about every time you want to declare a type, if the type is other than integer, Boolean, character, or string, these are the very basic ones. Anything that's outside the basic category, you have to somehow import them into your Java class. I guess maybe in other programming languages, they got something similar. They wouldn't include all the library classes to your class by default. You have to explicitly include them. So for example, scanner is kind of outside the basic category. So if I say scanner over here, you can see as soon as I do that, I don't do anything else. You can move your mouse over. You can see that one shows you scanner cannot be resolved, meaning that they don't know what scanner is at the moment. Okay. The way to really try to do some auto completion always, if you're using Windows, you can say control space. If you're using Mac, you can say command space. In my case, I'll say command space. Control space. Okay. I think sometimes it will be control space, sometimes it will be command space. You can try both. But in my case, it will be control space. As soon as I say control space, it's going to give me all the possible ways to really resolve this particular scanner. You can see one of them will be the scanner from java.util. Okay, so that's as soon as I do that, it's going to import the scanner into Eclipse. So that'll be one code completion you can do. Okay, and then let me do this. Sorry, input is new scanner. Okay, another thing I think you might be interested will be this one here. I'll show it to you. Okay, and now let's say input over here. If I say dot, So you can think about in Java or any other programming, object-oriented programming language, the dot is a very special operator, which I'll explain maybe later once I start introducing objects. But if you give a variable name over here and then you say dot, it's going to show you all the possible methods or functions that will be applicable to this particular variable. You can think about input was declared to be a scanner type. So now as soon as I say dot over here, it's going to show me all the methods or functions that are actually available to the scanner type, including, for example, close. And also, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see also, if I type a little bit more, I can say next. It's going to show me every applicable method to do with a scanner that start with next. I can also see next int over here, for example. I can also see next double over here as well, right? So now let me say close. So for example, I can say dot again, close, right? That's auto completion. Do you follow me so far?
Yes. Okay, I got it.
Okay, very good. I think this will be.
Hello, Professor.
Yeah, let me finish this and I'll take a question. I think the dot over here will be the more constant use for you to program in Java, especially once we introduce about classes and objects, how you create objects. You will see lots of methods which you might be able to use from a particular class, but you don't necessarily memorize them all. So that'll be the way to complete the code. All right. Okay. Anyway, yes, question.
Yeah, I think for the auto completion, you have to enable it in Eclipse settings. If you go to settings, there under the Java editor, there is a content assist, and you have to enable it for the auto completion.
You mean auto completion?
If you go to like there's Java. You see Java?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go here, no. If you expand it, like,
sure.
Editor. If you go to editor.
Sure.
Expand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is content assist. Okay. The second one. Yeah.
Oh, I see. You mean like things like over here, right?
Yeah. So if you go to content assist, there's an option. You see, it's enable auto activation at the last.
I mean completion inserts or auto activation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So
yeah. I believe the code completion is actually enabled by default unless you turn it off, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's good to know. I just rely on the default auto completion. There might be a way for you to really customize it. There might be a way. So maybe just use Google to find out exactly how to do it.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'll explore more about it.
Sure, no problem. I think for your, let's say for your programming test specifically, I think your friend will be what I just illustrated over here. So assuming that your Eclipse has already enabled the auto completion. So for example, now if I say, let's say for example, let's say I want to call this particular utility method. So I will simply say the following. So now I type only partially, and then I'll say control space. It kind of shows me all the possible utilities. Now you got to be careful, right? You can see the first one seems to be the correct one. That's the utilities class from the model package. The second one is also called utilities, but from a different package. That's not the one you want, right? Choose the one you want. And then once I got this, you can see it imports the utilities class from the model package. Because if the class belongs to different package, they don't see each other by default. You have to import it. And then once after utility, I can say dot. So now it shows me all the method I can call. I can choose that one there. And there we go. And then you got to pass just the relevant input and output. For example, I can say 3 and then 5 over here. And then do something about it, of course. All right. And then I can say integer, for example, result is simply that. And then I can print it out, to the console. All right. I think this will might be the most common thing you may want to use for auto completion for your test. All right. All right, guys. Any more questions, please? Anything else? I look at the example test submissions. We haven't got many people trying. I guess maybe that's part of your agenda maybe at some point. So I will encourage you to try the example test as early as possible, because you may want to practice the workflow maybe more than once, just to make sure you're pretty familiar with. You gotta download this. You gotta download the zip, import it to your Eclipse, do whatever you need on the Eclipse, export it, upload it, and also submit it. Right? It's quite a tedious process to really execute, but I think you need to know how to do it efficiently. Okay. Any more questions? So, Armin, no need to raise hand. Just speak up. Okay, just speak up. Go ahead.
Is the practice test, our mark on the practice test going to be included in our grade?
No, practice test is only for practice purpose only, so you wouldn't be graded. You will not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's meant, also it's said in the guide. So the difficulty for your actual test will be somewhere between the practice test, which is easy, and also your labs, which might be slightly more difficult. So I would say there will be some easy questions, right? There will be some slightly harder questions as well. So there will be a balance, right? But I think for your practice test, it's mainly for you to practice the flow and also get yourself familiar with the formats for the test. But there shouldn't be any surprise because it's basically identical to what you have been doing for your labs, right? Armin, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. All right. All right, guys, feel free to ask me more. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Hello. I have a small question regarding the labs.
Sure, go ahead.
After the labs are marked, do you eventually get the solutions or the answer to the problems that I've stated in the lab?
It is a good question. I think, yeah, in principle, we will give you the solution for the labs. I think maybe just bear with us. Maybe after a couple of days, after the submissions are closed, I think for your lab number 1, since submission was only closed since early Monday, so I'll try to make the solution available to you soon. And also for your lab number 2, since your lab test is going to happen next Wednesday, we may not be able to grade your lab in time. But we'll give you a solution first. Yes, the answer is yes, you will get a solution. Yeah.
Oh, one more question.
Yeah.
How do you access the marks for the lab before that point, lab 0?
Oh, how do you access the mark? So my my colleague, the instructor from section O, he is mainly responsible for the grading. I believe.
Yeah, how do you can we access the marks that for lab 0?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to answer. So I think if you go to eClass, I believe if you go to the grade book, wherever you can access the grade, I believe my colleague already uploaded the marks for lab 0, I believe. So just check that regularly.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can see that, let me know, and then I will ask my colleague. So he's mainly the person in charge. But if you got any inquiries, you can ask me, and then I will forward the inquiry to him. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any more? Any questions? Any more questions for you guys?
Hi. So I have a question about GitHub. Can you hear me?
GitHub, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I was trying to upload my files, like commit the files, and I was getting an error saying error building trees, and there was something wrong with the file in settings. Like we have the settings file in week 1. So do you have any idea about the error or?
So is this for your current lab or this is for your current tutorial?
No, I was like nothing about the tutorial. All the stuff we did, I was just trying to upload on GitHub.
Okay.
So I couldn't do it.
Yeah, sure. I think I might need to actually look at your particular screen to see it. However, I would suggest you can try the following. I presume you already created some repository for your work, right? So try to first of all back up everything you have done since the last commit. You may have made some new changes, right? New addition or new changes. Back up all the changes, all this. Maybe let's say, for example, let's say the only change you have done was to create a.java. Let's say class a.java. Let's say. So what you do is back up a.java, back it up somewhere, and then clone your repository again to maybe your desktop. So it's a fresh clone. And then try to just either add or replace a.java into the clone. And then the GitHub desktop should really show the correct things to be committed. You can give a try to start from fresh.
Okay, sure. I'll do
Give a
that.
try. If this doesn't work, maybe I still got office hour tomorrow at 1
Yeah.
1 p.m. So drop by and then we can sort it out.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, guys, I'm happy that maybe maybe not all, but I know some of your fellow students might still be struggling with GitHub, but many of you are trying to use it. I think that's good thing to have. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, I can wait a little bit more. That's okay, guys. If you don't have question, you know what? In some way, if you don't have question, I will tend to think it's a good sign. That means you're okay so far following the materials. I think maybe things will get a little bit tougher. Well, it's supposed to be, since it's a second programming course. Things will get a little bit more demanding after once we start talking about loops. And then also after the reading week, we have to also start talking about classes and objects for 7 weeks, right? And also you will get to do a little bit of mobile apps at the end, right? But don't worry, we're still building foundation for you to really build mobile apps. Guys, any more questions? Any more?
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was doing lab 2, and I was just wondering, does it matter how much if statements we have, or does it only matter if it just passes the JUnit test?
Okay, yeah, I would say yes. I would say the answer is no, it does not really matter. If you really got even an excessive number of if statements to check.
Yeah, because I have a lot.
I would say that's okay.
Okay.
You're new to Java, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say that's absolutely fine. I would say really to keep the best way to go forward is like this. In order for you to claim your credits for the lab, we don't really check the structure of the code. We just want you to try and then to make something that works, even though the structure may not be so ideal. So I would say as long as the JUnit test pass, then you're safe. On the other hand, I think for the better good for your learning, you may just want to drop by my office hour, even before the lab submission, or maybe after the lab submission. Show me your code, and I can give you some advice about how to improve it. That would be my suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, guys, anything else? All right. I think so far we're still talking about some very simple, easy stuff. I think about, still, since we are not supposed to assume any knowledge about everybody on taking Java, so that's why I really want to go from scratch. So I think in the beginning, few weeks, maybe the first 3 to 4 weeks, people may not have many questions. But I think starting from once we start talking about deep into loops, that might be the part you want to spend more energy and time on, right? That's normal. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to have a final call for question if you got any, right? If no, then I will save everybody's time and then you can go off to do whatever work you got to complete, right? And let me wait a little bit longer and then to see, all right?
Okay, Jackie, I have one more
Go
small
ahead,
question
please.
regarding the Eclipse. Yeah, so when operating on Eclipse, I see that I can create multiple workspace. Can you explain a little bit more about what's the concept of workspace and
Sure,
how
of
the
course.
structure of it?
Yeah, that's a good question here. I think that's a valid question. Yeah. Your fellow student question was about basically the hierarchical structure for your project. Let me start a new page over here. Okay, so you can think about, so the top level we have is a workspace. You can think about a workspace is simply a collection of projects. And let's say Java project specifically, right? Although you may have a Python project or maybe JavaScript project and etc. So here we're talking about Java projects. And then, so that's why every time when you want to launch your Eclipse, you want to store all your projects in a single workspace. Okay, so this is where the Eclipse should be launched on. Is launched on. Okay, so now let's talk about the hierarchical structure, like a nested structure. So under the workspace, you may have as many Java projects as you like. For example, you might have your week number 1. Let's say for tutorial video, you may say week 01. You may also have week 02. And that's about your weekly tutorial videos. And also for your labs, you may also have, let's say, EECS1022, and also W21, and also your lab 1, for example, right? Let's take lab 1, for example. So this will be called the projects. So this is a projects. Okay, you can think about between projects, classes don't really interact with each other. So you can think about all the classes I store in this particular project, they have nothing to do with all the classes in another project, right? Usually independent projects. So now under projects, you may just have some, the next level will be called packages, right? So maybe you got console apps. And also you got JUnit tests. And also you got model. So now this guy over here is called a package, right? So the idea would be under a particular project, you may have as many packages as you like. But I think for us, for this course, I have set up the labs in such a way that you got separation of concern. You got console, you got JUnits, you also got model, right? And then, so now finally, but in general, of course, you can have as many packages as you like to organize your Java classes. The final concept will be about under each package, you can have as many Java classes as you like. So you may have, for example, utilities. At the moment, we only introduce just one class for you. But once we start introducing to you about object orientation after the reading week, so you can create as many classes as you like inside the model. For example, you may have maybe students .java. And then just one more example, you might say maybe student management system, SMS.java, right? It has as many as you like under model. Although it's also possible, but maybe it's less common. You can also have sub packages, pretty much like a subfolders, okay? So now we got several concepts over here. We got workspace, which got as many projects as you like, each one of them independent of each other. And then inside each project, you got as many packages as you like. And in order for me to really use, let's say I'm now here. Let's say I'm now in the console apps package in the context of that. In order for me to really use the utilities.java, I need to import it. Okay, so let me just write it down. So now, in order for me to really use this particular class from a different package, I need to import it, right? So that's why you'll see the import statements in your Java file. And then similarly for the JUnit test as well. Okay, and then, yeah, I think that's about it. So does that answer your question?
Okay, yes, this definitely helps. And just because I was experiencing something a little bit frustrating, because before the week 1, you are introducing us with the utilities for the GitHub.
Yeah.
And I was just creating a workspace, standalone first workspace under another name. And under that, I was creating the EECS1022, and that has been synchronized to.
Oh, I see. I think.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Afterwards, yeah, when we are to do the labs, and I have created another workspace called the EECS1022, and that actually, when I was deleting the first workspace contents, the second one is kind of affected.
I think for the specific problem you might have encountered into, it might be easier if you just drop by my office hour and I can maybe go over with you what's going on over there. But I think you mentioned one good point here. So one option for everybody is to say under a single workspace, we simply call it EECS 1022 W21 workspace. You can say you store all your weekly tutorial videos and all your weekly labs into the same workspace. That's one option. It sounds to me, in your case, you actually created two separate workspaces, maybe one for Java tutorials, the other one for your weekly labs. I think that's okay too. But exactly what the technical problem you run into, I need to look at that by sharing your screen. So maybe we can take a look at that in my office hour, maybe tomorrow.
Okay, I'll try that. Yeah.
Yeah, if not, then send me an email. We can make an appointment as well. We can see what time works better for you.
Okay, I'll try to arrange to see I
Yeah,
can
no problem.
like screenshot or something.
Yeah, good. All right, guys, any more questions? All right. I hope everybody is okay for now. All right. Anyway, so I think that will be about it for week number 2. I think for next week, we're going to talk about lecture week number 3. And then I can also answer some question related to your tutorial or any concern or any other question you might have about the programming test, right? All right. So now you can go off to do your work, get prepared for the test, and also follow through your lecture materials and tutorials. And then any trouble, let me know. All right, thank you for coming. And then I'll stop the recording now, and then I'll see you next time. All right, you guys take care.
Thank you, Professor. Bye.
You're very welcome.